Everybody good? Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll open the meeting up to public comment. Just a reminder, public comment for agenda items only on the front end. We'll have a back end public comment for general items and questions. So, floor is open for public comment. Okay, we'll close public comment, and Lindsay's going to do a special presentation for the upcoming budget.
Okay, so welcome to our third budget planning presentation.
You need your batteries?
I'll do it. Wait, I think we're good. No, I lied.
You're missing a battery.
I am.
Check, you took the one off at the top there?
All right, go ahead.
All right, next slide, please. So most of this presentation is going to be review from the past two presentations. We're going to review the tax levy limit calculation and our revenue sources, some of our draft budget, the transportation proposition, which we'll be voting on tonight, and determine revenue for the draft budget plan. Next slide. This has been kept the same. Our proposed levy limit is $31,914,042, which was submitted on March 1st. Next slide.
Sorry,
It's okay.
little tap happy.
So this was our draft revenue budget. I still kept the state aid in yellow. We had another amount come in from BOCES, which was actually $4,000 less than what they originally stated. I'm also keeping it in yellow as well because the legislative budget will come out on April 1st, so we could see a change from that. The other that is highlighted in yellow is our fund balance. Again, I put this in as a placeholder because this is what we had brought over from last year. So we'll be talking a little bit more about this in the next couple of slides. So some of the major drivers for a budget to budget increase are in salary, benefits, BOCES, utilities, with inflation, debt service with our capital project, and then we also have a spot in there for the SRO program. You can go to the next slide. So what I did was took the presentation this time from last year and lined it up against what we're looking at this time for this year. So last year at this time, when we were going through our draft expenses, we were about $983,000 difference, and currently today we're around $319,571 more expense than revenue. Go to the next. This is the bus proposition for next year. For our 65 passenger bus and our 30 passenger bus. And the next slide will show the proposition that you'll be voting on. And finally, what we need to determine is that fund balance. I did, again, like I said, put a placeholder of the 1.15 million. Last year, you did go from what was 1.3 to 1.5. So if it is the board's intention to either keep it the same or continue to go down, with expenses being what they are going into next year's budget, we may not be able to do this much in future budgets. We can do it for next year's budget if you would like to. But again, if that fund balance number goes down, then that means our deficit would go up currently. And I believe the next slide is the budget planning calendar. So our next budget presentation meeting will be in 2 weeks on March 28th.
Just a reminder for the board, we have the March 28th meeting and I believe the April 18th meeting, and we have to adopt at that point in time. So if we need to have an additional meeting for budget purposes, we can try to schedule that. Lindsay, going back to the second slide, I think it is, where you highlighted in yellow right there. Are we at, I know the governor promised that we would be at 100% foundation aid from what they cut previously. Are we there right now?
That is what
That's what
they
that
see.
reflects?
That's what that reflects. So the legislature changed that as of April 1st, so we just don't know which way
Up or down?
that's going to be.
So we could
So
possibly get an increase in foundation aid as of April 1st.
we could possibly,
We
yes.
could, but I
that's-
think what's different
that's-
this year is
We've
she
gotten-
sort of front-loaded it, whereas the previous governor waited until that April 1st timeline, and then a little bit more money was given in previous years. So when I was just at Niscus last week, they said don't count on too much change of that yellow figure.
Right,
She's doing it a little
the
differently.
aid runs included the foundation aid allotment,
Correct.
so that's already been accounted for.
Right. So I
But they did say that there's a slight chance of some little bobbles in that number once the legislature does their piece.
Is there any conversation with our local assemblymen and committeemen to try to get some of that funding that they have that they can allocate to us? I mean, we've done that in the past, and
I
that's
think that's something
possible.
that we need to consider, because if you look at this slide, we still have to find that 320,000 basically.
Yeah.
Or have conversations this evening about what the board's thoughts are moving forward with this budget, just so that everyone's aware. This is taking into consideration all of the positions that we had brought in a few years ago under the grants. Those grants are going to be expiring, and we brought them into this budget so that we're moving those positions forward. So, and as an administration, we've been having conversations about the need to keep those programs in place because they are making a difference. So, doesn't mean we have to, but obviously we would love to continue on the path that we set out in the when the grant money came available.
Is it the possibility to lobby our assemblymen in our center that covers our area to try to maybe get some more funding for, mental health is a big issue, and we're trying to maintain that within our district. I think we're keeping some of that CARES money that was grant funded, just to help along with.
We're not keeping the money. The money.
No, we're not keeping the money, but we're keeping the
positions and then putting it into part of the general budget. So yeah, absolutely. I would encourage everyone to write to their local legislator to try to sway them in that. We won't know those numbers before the next meeting, though, because the general budget doesn't get approved until April 1st.
Yeah, so that pork barrel money that they have. That
Right.
They can, yeah.
I mean, this is, I would say, in the
Just to
years
cut
that
that gap.
years ago that I was sitting in these seats, this is the smallest amount that we've had to try to.
We've had many more, look at last year.
Last year was going through
We've had
that.
many more challenging budgets than this, and that is doable. I think the last few Ulster County school boards meetings have been dedicated to conversations in trying to garner more, whatever that may be. But this is doable, I know we are not going to support the cutting of any mental health positions. We are going to keep those positions. There are schools out there who would still love to find those people, and they're few and far in between. So we know the need is there. I do believe in a discussion of positions that there still probably could be some efficiencies in our current operation that can address some of that, certainly not all. But these are positions that have remained unfilled. I understand that for various reasons we might want to keep them, but there's, I'm sure, some efficiencies within the personnel side of the pie, which is our largest, let's face it, that's 80%, 89% of our budget. So, you know, I know administration's working on that. I look forward to participating or having the board take a look at those things.
And the only thing I would add to that is those positions that have not been filled, that you see on a regular basis.
For several years.
They may not be filled with permanent folks, but they have been filled with either overtime from existing employees or substitutes. So there are dollars that are built into the budget to fill those positions if we could find the folks to fill them.
Again,
But
I
we are
understand we
sharpening our
want to
pencils
try to
and-
keep everything.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know, some of those ESSER positions, I don't believe they were all mental health. I know there was some AIS and there was some others, so
Yeah.
we'll have to refresh the memory of the board, but we can balance this budget. Additional support, additional aid makes that all kind of come back very easily. But again, this is not too challenging right here. I feel good about it.
Quincy, how much is in the fund balance?
For here is 1.15.
And then, so we just looking at our notes, we talked about that last year, as you mentioned, but just the benefits would just, so I guess that's the question you're asking, like, just, do we want to keep that, or?
Right, so we really need to know if that's what you want to keep. If you want to go lower, then that would obviously make the deficit more. If the board wanted to go down from last year, if this is what it's going to be, and I can tell you, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that to carry over for next year's budget, just because.
I think if I remember that conversation last year, we were at 1.3, and we were going to take $300,000 out, and then, if you remember, we cut that in half at basically this meeting last year. We said, no, we would go to the 1.15 rather than the 1.3.
Right, and I was very vocal on this, because we know that on the other side, who said yes? So, yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
you were. Yeah, I was. And so the idea here is because that puts program at risk in a downside budget, right?
Right.
That is money, unspent expenses that we garner through the budget to put towards that. It felt very good to reduce it. I will tell you, this is not something a school district can do every year. And I would leave it, I felt good about reducing it. If you ask me, I'd like to get down to $1 million over time. I'd be happy with that level, but I'm going to leave those discussions and recommendations to the finance committee. No pressure. I felt good about taking a step back. We were able to do it, but there's enough pressure, it appears, on this year's budget, and I have no expectation of changing that number unless the finance committee says we want to do it.
Well, I think the other thing that you can think about with that is, yes, we could fund that for this year, and that would give us some time. We could formulate a letter that folks could use, and we could, look to people within the community to take that letter and send it to their legislators. We can get one of those up and going right now, but moving forward into the next round of budgeting at the state level, maybe if they're getting the letters more frequently and not just in the weeks leading up to their legislative session, maybe it would be more meaningful.
All those
I
efforts.
think all those things are on the table.
Alternative funding is always welcome.
I think we have to move with that now.
Oh, yeah, no, we have to do that now for what we have to do, but I think for the future, if we want to start looking at getting that 1.15 down to closer to $1 million or even less.
And that is what that's what I'm saying, is that I don't believe we will be able to come to you with a placeholder at 1.15 next year.
Right. How does everyone else feel about that 1.15 as a offset to the tax levy, utilizing the fund balance?
it helps, but just the concern about it's not sustainable, you know, like, so it's just.
So, yeah, Mike, I think
how
Mike
we
said that
plan-
last year, yeah.
How do we plan, you know, so we do it this year, how do we get ahead of it for next year's budget cycle?
It should be on the next agenda for the finance committee to talk, discuss.
I think past history, we've been talking about, at every budget cycle, you know, fund balance, how much do we apply?
Well, it's a budget health metric for sure.
Yeah.
I think years ago it was about
900,000 was a,
if I remember.
probably we carried that for a good number of years. Okay, anyone have
Anyone else
anything
want to
else?
see anything else on this?
Well done, thank you.
So our next meeting, we're not gonna know what the state is doing as far as aid, because that's not gonna hit until April 1st, so do we wanna try to move a meeting sooner than the April 18th, so we know, I know we have spring break coming up first week in April. We wanna do that April 11th? Give us a little cushion.
Probably not a bad idea.
I mean, we could put it as a placeholder, and if we don't need it, we can determine at the next meeting.
Because our next, on the 28th, we're gonna be talking about the same thing again, because we don't have an idea.
Right. Really,
Where our
dates.
final, where we're gonna land on the foundation and the state aid.
I'm comfortable with throwing a little placeholder.
Okay.
Anyone else?
It's definitely April 11th, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the 11th.
This is Tuesday.
I'll send a calendar invite to everybody tomorrow.
Anybody have any questions, concerns regarding the budget? And what's in, what's out? Do you have any? Okay,
All right? Thank you.
all right, we'll move on. Consent items, we're gonna take that from A through C3. If you wanna pull anything, just let me know, and we'll pull anything out. If you have any questions, comments prior to us adopting, feel free. So I need a motion to accept the consent agenda from A through C3, motion by Tom, second by Camille. Discussion. No discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried, 6-0.
The only recognition, I think, for this evening of the folks that are here is Mr. Rizzo is in the back, and he has just been appointed as the the baseball volunteer assistant coach. Thank you for taking that on.
Thank you. Good luck to our spring sports teams and coaches and all.
Okay. Moving right along. Phil, do you have any comments from our,
I have them
Other-
sort of built into what I'm
okay,
going to say.
good, so we'll hear the superintendent's report.
So just as a point of information on our capital project, we have been assigned a new state reviewer, Jamie Byron, who is in the process of reviewing our phase 1 of the capital project. The Highland Education Foundation will be having their annual spring gala dinner on April 15th. At that dinner, we will be honoring Paul Hansett and Carl Relier as alumni, and Angela Greco as our Highland Husky Pride winner. That dinner is $65 per person, and if you are interested in going, you can see me about that, or you can call Becky. And for the folks that are maybe watching, call Becky at 845-234-1522. The Highland Education Foundation is also doing a raffle for a Cannondale Quick 3 bike, valued at close to $1,100. Tickets are $30 for one, $50 for two. You can see any foundation member or any of the administrators at the district office, and we can help you get one of those tickets if you're interested. Tomorrow, Dr. Boyd and Mr. Zimmer will be attending a recruitment fair at SUNY New Paltz. So they will be going and interviewing folks that are new out of the programs there at SUNY New Paltz. I believe that is also open to anyone. It doesn't have to be just from SUNY New Paltz. So that's an annual thing that we attend.
Mr. Miller and I, Vice President Miller and I, attended the Ulster County School Boards Association meeting this past week with County Executive Jen Metzger. One of the things that she talked about was improved funding for counseling services for middle school families and their students through the LaSalle Institute. This is not in place of our mental health, so I just want to be clear on that. This is an out service, so we could recommend someone to that and they would get some support, and this is a faster way to get some of our families to see a counselor rather than trying to find one locally. As we know, it's very difficult. Something that I found very interesting from that presentation is they were ready to hire 10 mental health providers for that program, and I think they only to date have found 6. So there's a great need in the county. Last week we had our 2 scholarship concerts, so I want to congratulate our musicians and our music teachers. The first was our Instrumental in the Round. That's that concert that we all love when they all get into the same room, and so we were all reminiscing that night that concert was 2 nights before we closed down for COVID, and we were all very worried because we saw what was coming, and then 2 days later we shut down. So it was nice to have the kids back into that setting. Also, the choral show took place last week, and it was very well attended. The high school PTSA will be having their second Brooks Brothers barbecue fundraiser on April 17th. For the board, I will include flyers in my Friday update this week. I know it's advertised. I've seen it flash now 3 times on the sign out there, and I know the high school folks have sent it home. This Thursday, the Mid-Hudson Catskill Council School Superintendents will be hosting Regent Wills at Ulster BOCES. So that's the group. I think I know I said this last time. I think I'm going to say it a couple more times, that I got nominated to be part of the organization of that. So it's going to be interesting to have a regent here locally to speak with local superintendents. And then a point of great news for our district. As you know, we have been a TSI school for a number of years. We are now an LSI school, which is the old term for good standing. The state has gotten rid of the term good standing because they don't want anyone to think that some schools are good and other schools are not. So local support improvement, that's just a continual review, a comprehensive review, which we do on a regular basis. We've been TSI for a number of years, so those processes are already in place. I attended a session at Dutchess BOCES on Monday. The LSI schools did not have to attend, but I wanted to attend because I wanted to advocate for the fact that now that we're not TSI, we lose out on all the extra funding. So I wanted them to know that, look, there's still improvement that we want to make. We need help with that. So I wasn't the only one. There were a couple of other superintendents that we got together and went to that and advocated with the representatives from State Ed. And that's it.
Okay, any questions for our superintendent?
The LaSalle program, our counselor, our middle school counseling staff, they know how to
Yes.
put families in touch with that.
Yes, actually Dr. Boyd is the contact for the district with that program, and he's met with the counselors to give them there's a whole packet that needs to go to LaSalle for a student to be seen there.
Thank you.
So it starts with us, though. It's if a family is interested in that, they have to come through the school, and we forward them on, and that's how the funding source gets allocated through the county.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Thank you, Joel. Okay, on the Board of Education, new business, memorandum of agreement with the Highland Teachers Association. Be it resolved that it is hereby agreed by between the Highland Central School District and the Highland Teachers Association that the collective bargaining agreement that expires on June 30th, 2023 shall be extended for a period of 4 years, July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2027, and shall remain unchanged except as noted in the attached agreement. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Camille, second by Janine. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I want to thank the committee of myself, Camille, and Heather, and the HTA negotiating team. We spent many of hours. We agreed to disagree. We had some disagreements along the way, but I think the end result that both sides came to an agreement that is in the best interest of the district. So, I want to thank the Highland Teachers Association for their diligence in providing the opportunity to sit down and discuss back and forth the contract. So, and again, thank you to our committee on our side, and again to our superintendent and our business official for their support and their guidance along the way. So thank you. Okay, we're running for school board petitions. Petitions for nominating candidates for the office of the Board of Education in Highland Central School District are available at the central office between the hours of 8 a.m. 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, except for Monday, April 17th, which is an extended hour to 5 p.m. The following vacancies, which expire on June 30th, 2023, are to be filled. Term of myself, Alan Barone. Term of Heather Welch. Term of office is for 3 years. In order to be considered for a candidate, the individual must be 18 years old, registered voter in the Highland Central School District, and able to read and write. He must also have been a resident of the district continuously for 1 year prior to election, May 16, 2023. The completed petitions with the signatures of 25 qualified district voters must be filed with the clerk of the district no later than 5 p.m. on Monday, April 17th. Candidates must submit an email, see below, declaring their intent to run and to request a packet. Only the original petition is accepted and must be received by 5 p.m. on April 17th. Only original completed packets will be accepted. For any questions, you may contact the district office at lcerniglia@highland-k12.org or via phone at 845-691-1020, extension 3137. Under old business, our bus proposition, be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the following proposition to be placed on the ballot at the annual meeting of the qualified voters of the Highland Central School District to be conducted on Tuesday, May 16, 2023. Shall the Board of Education of the Highland Central School District be authorized to acquire 2 school buses at a maximum cost of approximately $266,756 to expend such sum for such purpose. 3, levy the necessary tax thereof to be levied and collected in annual installments in such years and such amounts that may be determined by the Board of Education, taking into account state aid. And 4, in anticipation of the collection of such tax, issue bonds and notes of the district at one time or from one time to time in the principal amount not to exceed $266,756, and levy a tax to pay the interest on said obligations when due. Be it further resolved that the district clerk is hereby directed to include notice of such proposition in the notice of the annual meeting. Be it further resolved that this resolution takes effect immediately upon its adoption. So I'll ask for a motion to move this forward, and then we'll do a roll call. Motion by Tom, second by Camille. Our district
Okay, I'm
clerk.
going to state your name, and you're going to say either yes or no. Camille Adoma,
Yes.
Mike Bakaxias,
Yes.
Janine Gemmel,
Yes.
Ed Mizell,
Yes.
Tom Miller,
Yes.
Alan Barone.
Yes.
That's all in favor, 6-0.
Okay, I think the district appreciates that, moving the bus proposition forward. Under miscellaneous, any correspondence, emails that you want to share with the board and the public? Okay, the Highland Educational Foundation, I think the superintendent touched on that during his presentation, so hopefully we can support that like we have in the past. I think it's a beneficial foundation that supports education in our district, and they do fund various areas throughout the year, and I think this year is
I did
again,
fail to mention that they are supporting the teacher mini grants again, which is a great way to get some diversity across our buildings. People come up with some great ideas, and we kickstart some new programs that way. So
It is at a new venue this year too,
it is Indian Ridge.
Indian Ridge, which is within our district, so that's a plus for us.
And I believe the food is from Sal's,
Yeah, it's,
I believe.
yeah, no, I think
thought that was the case.
Great. I already signed up, so.
Okay, anyone have anything else for the good and welfare of the district? All right. We'll open the meeting back up to public comment. Just one thing I want to say, I appreciate everyone coming out today in this inclement weather. We're fortunate enough that the roads cleared somewhat for this evening, so when you do leave, have a safe trip home, and we'll
start icing up again.
see you in 2 weeks, but we will open up the floor to public comment for regular agenda items, regular items.
Kevin Rizzo, Highland, New York, union president as well. I just wanted to thank the board as well for helping us to negotiate a contract prior to expiring. Thank you all again, and have a great night and be safe.
Anyone else for public comment?
Laura Finch, Highland, teacher, parent, lover of the district. I just want to mention as well, my daughters had a chance to participate in addition to the scholarship concerts in all-county concerts happening last week. Now, this coming weekend is here at the high school. There's a jazz bands performing as well. And I have to give all the credit in the world to the music department for supporting this program in our schools. So just wanted to say thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Actually, recognition of our buildings and ground people for maintaining this facility and getting the parking lot, sidewalks, and school entrances cleaned up and hopefully ready to roll tomorrow.
It's a big undertaking today.
Oh, yeah.
With heavy snow. I say that, and I sent a picture to the board earlier today to let them know that I had done my driveway and I was ready to come to a board meeting if they were so willing to have it. And then got reminded that we were still in a state of emergency, so I should just relax. I did relax. Unfortunately, Dutchess County is still in a state of emergency and I have to drive back over there.
I told you there's a cot in your room.
So I might be staying with you, Mr. Rizzo.
You didn't negotiate that, did you?
It's just a quick route. Quick route over.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It's all main roads.
Any other public comment? Motion to adjourn. Motion by Janine, second by Ed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, everyone.
Safe trip, everyone.